Grabando.
Good afternoon, all of the members of the Autonomous Learning course, first semester of 2016. The purpose of this last video in the course is to share with you some of my views about assessment. Well, there are three main questions that I'm going to answer you, and they have to do with first, if I consider I am an assessment literate. Second, to share with you about the pressures in order to avoid assessment. And the third is my plans in order to come up with those constraints and finally to follow assessment for the benefit of my students and my own professional development. Well, I consider in a certain way I am an assessment literate because in the degree in my degree when I was a pre-service teacher, I received not only excellent literature as everybody, but I consider that I was guided. I was always conducted to be a reflective teacher. And besides, when I started my teaching practice, it was simultaneously with the Law 230 that had to do with evaluation, kind of automatic promotion. And I think it had a very interesting purpose, even though it didn't work out due to different reasons. But it was good, and I learned, for example, to follow the process of the children, to establish achievements in a way that they could reach them, even though they couldn't reach the highest level of those achievements. So in a certain way, I think due to the preparation in the degree and the practice, the first years of practice, I consider I got certain level. Well, the second aspect regarding pressures or constraint in my context, I think I want to talk about four main constraints, which are the academic reports, the time, the number of students, and economical problems in public education. Because even though I have tried to follow assessment as a process and not as a final end, anyway, at the end, I feel the pressure of the grades on the academic report. I also remember that I had experience with a course in a public school. We had a book, and in this book, I would like to share you. There was a certain part for self-assessment, and it was wonderful. I remember that learners enjoy to do that self-assessment part, but there was no time to reflect after students completed this self-assessment part. They had to develop this exercise by themselves autonomously, and they could see the result, the final level in English after the unit, according to the way they had developed these exercises. But at the end, there was no time to reflect about the reasons of those results. So time and number of students are some of those constraints, and even that not all of the students had the book. That's why I mentioned economical constraints. However, even though so many different constraints, and that sometimes I was not updated before, but now I consider that in the short time future, I'm going to assess. I'm going to try to follow a process with the students in order to for they to develop an ability for each class. Remember that I have only 1 hour lesson per week, but sometimes I just dedicated too much time, even the whole month, to only one aspect of the English language development in my children. But precisely this week, I had the opportunity to plan the whole year regarding contents and objectives. It was very interesting that I had just received the instruction in this course for performance-based objective, and then I could have the opportunity to take that theory into practice. And now we plan with the other teacher that we are going to let the students develop the process of each skill per week, because anyway we're going to give them the opportunity to develop different aspects of the language. And well, now that I have received this important theory and I have updated, I consider I'm going to plan carefully in each lesson, for I can account and I can reflect about the process of the children in each skill development. Also, I consider that I have to take parents as part of the process, because as they are children, well, they reflect and they sometimes they tell myself the way they feel regarding the English language development. But I think parents are must be involved in this process, and I have to do so. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and Professor, for this opportunity to let me reflect about this very not very important but quite relevant aspect in any teaching practice. Thank you very much.